The only way to really eradicate Hamas would be to inflict a level of violence that this population that they are embedded within absolutely cannot stand. So no, there has to be a better way. Cut this off, do it differently. And Shin Bet and Mossad and IDF have all the ability in the world to pinprick and kill one guy at a time when they want to. And they demonstrate that all the time.
Yeah, they did it in Iran.
And they've done it in Gaza, right? When they took out some of the leaders of Hamas, they got, one guy flies a drone in one window to get the one guy that they're looking for and shoots him.
This is where I'm always careful how I say this. I'm never gonna in any way do anything except shred terrorism and talk about how bad it is. What I do try to do is plan for a better future. And one of the ways to do that is to determine what caused this. Why did this happen? Why did someone that was a baby at one point become a murderous terrorist when they were 20 years old or something? And unfortunately, when I see people blowing up buildings 20 years from now, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, I'm going to hate them for it. I'm going to call it out. I'm not going to like it. It's going to be very sad. I'm going to completely understand how it happened.
Right.
And I've seen this movie over and over again, and no one's ever given me a good answer as to how to prevent that.
Well, we just have to stop the intervention. I mean, that's it. And look at there's been a lot of FBI entrapments, but there have been some real ass terrorist attacks in this country since September 11th, and they've all been motivated by American foreign policy. Hell, even when the FBI entraps some idiot, they don't say, don't you hate freedom? They say, don't you hate America bombing this country back home that you care so much about?
Yeah.
That's how they get them every time. And then same for the actual terrorists. And if you look at Zazi, who tried to do the New York subways, the guy and his wife that did the San Bernardino attack, the Boston bombing, Fort Hood, Orlando, this is all blowback. Man, there's this huge propaganda campaign about Orlando that said that Omar Mateen was a repressed homosexual whose religion hates gay people. And since he was so gay and yet so devoted to his religion, he decided to go crazy and massacre a bunch of helpless gay people partying at a club, the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. And so gay people unite against Islam. Guess what? That was 100% a lie.
It was?
All of it. He wasn't gay at all.
How do we know
He'd
that?
never been there at all. His first target was Disney World, and then he decided they had too much security. So he Googled nightclub, and Pulse was the first one that came up. When he got there, he said, "Where are the women?" And then he shot the place up anyway. And the only reason that all of this came to light was because they tried to falsely prosecute his old lady. And in her defense, she was able to get all these materials to prove and was able to testify and demonstrate all about this. There was nothing that was true like that. And as I quote thoroughly in the book, people who knew him said he hated gay people, just like he hated everybody else, especially America and Israel and England and whatever. And then, most crucially and importantly, while he was in there, this is a part of the story too. There were two heroic cops who were following him right into the bathroom. He had killed a bunch of people and then had hurted a bunch of people in the bathroom, was holding the hostages in there. And these two heroic cops were closing on him, ready to get his ass and ready to risk their lives to bust in there and shoot him in the head. And their superiors called them back and forced them to pull out of there. Then they laid siege to the place for like 4 hours or maybe 2, but I think it was longer than that. For hours, the cops hid in cowardly terror outside. And then they finally breached a hole in the wall of the building. And when the innocent captives started coming out, the cops blew them away. Anyway, so while he was in there for hours, safely protected by the security force who was supposed to be protecting the people from him, he wrote a giant message on Facebook and he called 911. And we have the transcript of the 911 call and we have the entire Facebook message. And it is 100% bin Ladenite grievances against American foreign policy. Particularly, Barack Obama had built the caliphate in eastern Syria and western Iraq, and then he launched Iraq War III to destroy it again. So at this time, he was bombing the crap out of Iraq and Syria. And Omar Mateen is telling the 911 operator, you have to stop bombing Syria. You're killing women and children. You're killing women and children. You're killing women and children. You have to stop the airstrikes. You have to stop the airstrikes. That's it. It's the same thing since Ramzi Youssef wrote his letters to the New York papers in 1993. You have to stop bombing Iraq from bases in Saudi Arabia. You have to stop helping the Israelis murder the Palestinians and the Lebanese.
All right,
this whole time. That's what it's always been.
Let's ask the difficult question here then, because right now, obviously, the actions of the current Israeli government are, you just can't defend them at this point. But I do always say this, and it's fair to say this, also considering that a minority voted for them within that country. You know, I would not have want to have been defined as Bush Cheney, right? So I try to separate people from their governments. I always do that as best as I can around the world. My friend Eric Zuliger has an amazing quote where he literally says, people are not their governments. And it puts things in perspective. So that said, and this gets a little weird with like the anti-interventionist stuff, but let's see what you do with this. Outside of what is going on now, which is wrong, and I think should be dealt with in a legal manner, and hopefully that something like that does happen. The actual existence, though, in the Middle East of a country like Israel, which is the one country that is not like the other. It's not Khaliji culture. It's not, like Arab regimes, stuff like that. If Israel were not there and it were just sucked up and the entire Middle Eastern region from head to toe were, I'm generalizing here, but mostly like Khaliji Arab culture. The separation of that culture, quite literally and figuratively separating East from West, would that be a pretty big problem?
No. What difference does that make?
You don't think it would make a difference?
Tell me what advantage Israel gives the United States there. The only one I can think of is they helped Barack Obama back al-Qaeda in Syria, but that was him committing treason for them, wasn't it?
So I'm not saying that they're right in doing this. However, I would say Israel is highly, what's the word? They go on offense a lot when they spot a problem. And I disagree with a lot of their offense, to be clear.
But not against our enemies. When we fight their enemies for them, they don't even come with us when we invade.
And that's also a problem. I agree. Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry. Hang on. We got to stop here. I got to take a leak so bad.
All right. We'll be right back. All right. We're back. Go ahead, Scott.
I think, I'm not the greatest expert on the ins and outs of all this stuff, but I think overall, Israel is an obstacle to even the empire achieving its goals over there, which would, without Israel's interference, would simply be about securing petroleum resources, for that matter, lording control over them, right? To screw the Russians on the price or the Chinese on access or whatever. But any and all of those relationships would all be so much easier if we didn't have the headache of having to deal with the Israelis. And they don't even have any petroleum or hydrocarbons at all until they finish stealing all the natural gas from the Palestinians off the coast of Gaza. So, they're, like I was saying about, there's that one example of Harold Road, the neocon taking over the Office of Net Assessment and purging all the Arabists in the Pentagon think tank in the lead up to Iraq War II. But like, that's a routine thing. That's like almost a cliche, like all the Arabists getting fired from the Pentagon or getting fired from the State Department. All the people who actually know what they're doing have to make way for the people with the Israeli agenda to come in and do their job instead. And so,
that's a mess, man. It's a mess over there right now, for sure. And it does seem like there are so many actions, especially when you look in the micro of the last 20 years in particular, 20, 25 years in particular. There's so many actions that were sold as like, hey, this is really good for us or really important for us. And it's like, is it? I don't think so.
Dude, and even when you look at like, who are the biggest proponents in America pushing for Iraq War I? You go, man, I recognize a lot of those names. Charles Krauthammer and William Safire and Bill Kristol and It's the whole gang,
neocons.
man. Yeah. So, I don't know what's the best book about that. And, if anybody has ever done a deep dive, I should ask Jim Loeb. I bet he would know. Because, there's a lot more going on in Iraq War I than just Israel. But then it's like, boy, you look at that list of pro-Iraq I hawks, and it's like, there's sure a lot of neocons who write for a living. What can you say? But, they sure do agree on war against Israel's enemies a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets strange. And it's one of those things. The more it goes on, the harder it is to look at it objectively, just because I don't understand why you can't just stop the bombing right now at this point. It shouldn't have started it, but
well, that's what Trump is doing with this supposed peace plan, and is trying, I think, to give Netanyahu a lifeline. The fact is, as we all already knew, for an insurgency to win, they just have to not lose.
Right.
And so that's what's happened here. And I wrote an article as soon as the war began for antiwar.com saying, look, the only way to really eradicate Hamas would be to inflict a level of violence that this population that they are embedded within absolutely cannot stand. So no, there has to be a better way. Cut this off. Do it differently. And Shin Bet and Mossad and IDF have all the ability in the world to pinprick and kill one guy at a time when they want to. And they demonstrate that all the time.
Yeah, they did it in Iran.
And they've done it in Gaza, right? When they took out some of the leaders of Hamas, they got, one guy flies a drone in one window to get the one guy that they're looking for and shoots him. Pretty dystopian, crazy nightmare thing. But then why are you carpet bombing
That's right.
doing the whole Da'iya doctrine against these people when you can, they could shoot these people with poison darts one at a time with no collateral damage whatsoever if that was what they wanted to do. Yeah, it is. It's the sickest thing in the world. It's the most criminal regime in the world. And it was funny. I don't know what I was searching, but I found something else. And it was a tweet that I had said in last December where I said, Donald Trump might be the most Zionist president of the United States in history, but he might be the last one.
He is.
Because Israel is going to be permanently controversialized now. They are a dead letter, name is mud on the left, and more on the right all the time. It's something like 50-50 on the right now. People are sick and tired of being lied to and condescended to and used and abused in this way. I mean, for all the people listening to this or watching this, think Benjamin Netanyahu respects you? And this is a guy who has said on multiple occasions, in fact, on September 11th, he told the New York Times,
good for Israel.
This is very good. I mean, not very good, but, good for the relationship between America and Israel. But the original sentence ended with good, period.
Mm-hmm. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.